All right. All right, welcome to the First Christian Church Kenosha Chair Ministry Setup video. I'm Brian Hauser. I am currently the chair team lead and also the week one lead. And I wanted to make a video to show everyone, especially since we have a lot of new members lately, what the setup pattern is that we're currently going for. We've changed a lot over the years, and we continue to evolve based on the needs of the staff and the attendance. Currently, we're in a summer setup, which is a few less chairs than normal. Once we get back into the school year here in about a month, we'll be probably increasing the chairs again a little bit. So, just real quick, we've got what we like to call four main sections. This is the wing on one side. It's basically a mirror image of the wing on that side. And then we've got the main section on this side, which is basically a mirror image of the wing on this side. So if you get one side right, you can get the other side just fine. We start out getting the first couple rows of each section done just right, kind of is the key to getting a good setup. You'll notice all of our rows are pretty straight, our aisles look pretty clean and crisp. That all builds itself as you set up the first row, the first two rows of each section. Everything gets based off of the stage. So let me flip around. We've got the stage here in this setup. It's been this way for a while, so that's been a big help to us as far as a chair ministry in keeping things simple and consistent. So let's start with the wing over here, the small section on the side. You can kind of see, let me see if I can do this here, that if you follow the line of the stage, it intersects right between those first four chairs there. And the same goes on the other side. That's your starting point. That helps you get a good row over here, or a good aisle, over here, and a good aisle over there. And then the spacing from the stage is the other important thing. It's roughly 5 feet. I have big feet, so I don't know how well this will work out, but 1, 2, 3, 4. And a little under 5. So for most people, 5 feet from the stage to that front row of chairs on that wing. And again, 2 chairs on each side of the imaginary extension of the stage to the wall. So once you get those first 4 set, about 5 feet from the stage, 2 on each side, you just build your way back. In this setup, we've got a little cutout right here. We've got a chair missing. You might wonder, well, why does every row behind that have that chair, but not the front? Well, that's because we've got stairs leading up to the stage, and it just makes things a little tight for people trying to walk through if there's another chair there. So we've got 4 chairs there. The next row back, there's 7. We basically build 2 out each row to the back until the very back row. 2 out all the way back that way, and then just 1 additional chair on the next row, and then straight back on that side. So you've got 4, then 7, then 9, then 11, and then you could have 13 in that back row if you put another chair on the very end there, but right now we've got 12. It just makes, again, for a little bit of more of a friendly aisle, and with the summer setup, we don't really need that many chairs set up because attendance goes down a little bit. As far as spacing the chairs for the rows, everybody does this a little differently, but I'll tell you my favorite way of doing this is when I'm setting up, I will throw a chair right there just so the front legs of the chair are touching the back legs of the chair in front of it. And I'll do that every other chair. And then I will line up the next chairs Again, depending on the setup, some people will go even, like that. I go an inch or two back. I have long legs, so I like to have a little bit of extra leg room. Some people, again, go right about there. For those of us with longer legs, we like a little room. And then I'll just do this every couple chairs. And then add a couple chairs on the end. And then when I'm done with that, basically this becomes my row. And I will pull these two chairs back into line. So you get a equally spaced row that should be fairly straight. Now I know this one is because I checked it before I started the video, haha. But yeah, that's kind of what you end up with. And then for this row, I would do the same thing. Set 3, maybe 4 chairs up against the row in front of it. Set all the other chairs based on the back legs of that row, and then pull those 4 back. And you just do that until you get to the back. Now right now we've got 5 rows on this wing and on the other wing. In the winter setup we'll have an additional row right back here, so we'll have 6. And then somewhere in the middle of this row, there's roughly 12 or 13 chairs here in this row. Somewhere around here, we'll do a cutout. So it'll be a row just like this, with a row just like that behind it. But that's the winter setup, as I mentioned. But for now, this is our good wing setup. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward. And as I mentioned, the other wing should be an exact mirror of this one. So for our main chair sections, the way I space the rows with, one chair up, another chair up, and then building off of the back legs of that row there, I kind of maneuver that about there, slide a chair back. Again, this one's maneuvered. You can see that there, an inch or two behind, and then slide the chair back, and you've got your next row. So for the center sections, again, it's most important to get your first row set just right. And we use the stage again. If you can see the imaginary line from the edge of the stage, kind of is right at the edge of that first row of chairs and intersects that line all the way straight back to the back of the room. So your 3-chair front row should about line up with the edge of the stage. Again, this gives us a straight line and nice clean aisles here and here. And similarly on this side, watch me trip over the stairs, that'd be funny. Similarly on this side, edge of the stage, straight along the edge of that first row, and continuing back to the back of the room. Again, 3 chairs for the front row on both sides, and the spacing from the front of the stage is again about 5 feet. And I usually just go from the corner, measure out 5, and put that front little leg of that chair right there, right at where my 5 feet ends. If you get that spacing right for the first row all the way around, it's going to end up looking pretty good. All you have to do is space the rows out good. And here again, just as we did on the sides, we go straight back for the center aisle, obviously, and we just build 2 chairs on each additional row until we get here. So for our center sections, there's 3, 5, 7, and then we go 8, 8, 8 all the way back. And I think it's 10 total rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 rows for the summer setup. So again, 3, 5, 7, 8, and then 8 straight back. On the third row of 8, let me back up a little bit. So there's the first row of 8, second row of 8, third row of 8. On the third row of 8, we have a 2-chair gap, a mini aisle, so to speak, 2 chairs wide, and then we have 3 chairs behind that, 4, 4, 4, 4. Again, this is the summer setup. In the winter setup, when we have an extra row back here, let me show you another key thing. To keep the room kind of in a rectangle, we kind of line up the back of that row there should about be the back, the edge of this, the right edge of this row, these rows here. It could go 1 chair up, more out, maybe, but when we have an additional row at the back of that wing, we'll probably go 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, or maybe 3, 4, 6, 6, maybe, all the way back that way. Really, it all comes down to whatever looks good and getting down enough chairs for the expected attendance. As long as we have those 2 things, the staff will be happy, the ministers will be happy, and everyone will be comfortable for worship. Again, this is currently the summer setup. In the winter setup, we'll have an additional row here, a few additional chairs here, and an additional row back here, all the way across, and additional row over on that side back there. And then just to round out the seating, that chair is kind of optional. I think it was a leftover and just got put there. We line the back wall on both sides with chairs. If you've been going to church here for quite some time, you probably remember at least a time or two where we would have some chairs along the back wall, but we would have a lot of extra chairs stacked up on either that side along the wall or this side along the wall. The staff did not like the fact that we had those chairs back there. They didn't like the look of it, and it was distracting when people would come in late and set up additional chairs, additional rows of chairs for themselves. So to remove that distraction, we removed the chairs. So those are now stored back by the children's worship area. If you're familiar with the church, it's back that way. So I guess that about does it. It's always good when you're building the rows to check for straightness. Something I didn't really cover, but I might as well since I'm here. So once you get all your first rows set up, you can kind of do the second row, then take a step back. Say, okay, this is my 3 chairs on this side, pretty much even with my 3 on that side. This is my 5 on this side, pretty much even with my 5 on that side. You want it to be fairly close. You can see we're off a little bit, but these are the kind of details that only I notice. And we're not here to please me, we're here to please the Lord, and I'm sure He doesn't care. So yeah, just do your best to make it look nice for the King of Kings. No pressure though. No, but seriously, we try and get it nice, but we don't have to be perfect. We don't ask anybody to try and be perfect. Similarly with these wings here, it's nice once you get a row or 2 done. And you can do this from either side. I usually do it from both sides just to make sure. I try and make sure that it looks straight. This one you can kind of use the gap on the rows over there, the mini aisle, to determine whether this is straight. Sometimes just a little kick makes a big difference. And then, yeah, just every row or 2, double check your work. Make sure you're not building on a crooked row, because since doing it the way I do it anyway, where you push a chair up and you use that as the basis for your next row, if the row you're going off of is crooked, you're just going to build another crooked row. So it helps every row or 2 to just take a few seconds, step back, and see how it looks. I think that's everything. And if not, I'll have to do another edit. All right, I hope this was helpful. It's about 15 minutes long so far, so it's going to take a long time to upload. But I hope this is helpful because that's why I'm doing it. And if it's not, let me know if you got any comments or recommendations for improvement. I'd love to hear them because I feel like this probably isn't going to be watched more than 10 times. All right, thanks everyone. I hope this is helpful. Bye-bye.